The little boy clutched the chalk between his left foot, writing something on the floor. His sister thought he was drawing a triangle, but the last stroke was off. The father took the chalk, thinking his son had accidentally made a mistake. He drew a standard triangle next to him. However, when the boy saw the triangle his father drew, he tried hard to erase it. It was then that the mother noticed the boy hadn't drawn a triangle but a capital letter A. The boy's expression confirmed the mother was right. He moved to the empty space in the middle, struggled to stand up, and began writing again. This time, it was a capital letter M. The family was a bit surprised but remained quietly watching, afraid that any noise might disturb him. Next came an O, just two simple letters, yet they made the boy's hair damp with sweat. Tears streamed down the mother's face. Even though he hadn't finished writing, she knew the word was mother. Finally, the boy collapsed on the ground, exhausted. It was the first time he had written a complete word. The father excitedly lifted him up and carried him to the bar, announcing to everyone that his son wasn't a fool. The boy's name was Christy, and he had cerebral palsy. He could only move his left foot flexibly. Because he couldn't speak, everyone thought he had intellectual disability until he wrote the word mother in front of everyone. One day, Christy heard his mother fall down the stairs. He made his way to the stairs, his right foot stuck. He kicked with his left foot and then slid down the stairs, forcefully kicking the door. The neighbors heard Christy's knocking and found his mother lying on the floor through the hole. His mother was saved because of this. Later, his father made a cart so he could play with his friends. As Christy grew up, the small cart turned into a big one, and Christy became more and more outstanding. He slowly learned to speak, but only a few close people could understand him. Despite only having one foot that could move, he could paint with it. Even with physical disabilities, he participated in soccer. Christy was a responsible goalkeeper. When the opponents shot, he used his head to block the ball. If the enemy bullied him, he would bite back. This even earned him a penalty kick opportunity. A disabled person lying on the ground made the opponent's goalkeeper relax his guard, but he underestimated Christy's left foot, allowing Christy to score successfully. Despite his mobility challenges, friends always took him everywhere. One day, they gathered with a group of girls. They played a game where they spun a bottle and whoever it pointed to received a kiss from the young lady. The handsome guy across from her was her crush. Unfortunately, the bottle pointed to Christy. Although the girl was reluctant, she gracefully went over and kissed Christy. From that day on, the girl was all Christy could think about. He stayed up late to paint a picture with his foot for her. When the girl received the beautiful and romantic artwork, she was touched and excitedly showed it to her friends. However, the friends discovered that it was signed by Christy. They immediately mocked that it was painted with his foot, and the girl had fallen for a cripple. The romantic gesture turned into a burden. She went to Christy's house and returned the painting to him. However, no one could have predicted that Christy, who was looked down upon, would become more successful than anyone else in the town. A red truck was stopped, and the driver got out to push the cart aside. The two brothers took the opportunity to remove the cart's pins from behind. However, when they tried to remove the second pin, the driver noticed. He chased the two brothers away and warned them. Then he got back into the truck. When the driver wasn't paying attention, they successfully completed their plan. The truck started moving, and they waited for the right moment. Finally, as the truck went uphill, coal spilled everywhere. The two brothers quickly climbed up to load the coal. Even the neighbors didn't sit by and used a baby stroller to carry coal. The three brothers returned home with a full load, but their mother was not happy. She believed it was theft and said she would never let those coal pieces enter the house. However, in the end, the temptation was too much and the family used the coal for heating. At that moment, Christy suddenly noticed a box falling from the fireplace. It was his mother's secret savings she had been collecting since Christy was very young, all for the day she could buy him a wheelchair. Christy couldn't speak fluently, so he exaggerated his actions. His mother came over to ask what was wrong. After repeated reminders, she finally realized and quickly took out the box, avoiding a loss. That evening, the mother and the eldest daughter in the family returned and asked everyone to leave the room, except for the father. It turned out that the eldest sister, Sharon, was pregnant. Upon hearing this news, the father became furious, hurling insults at Sharon. Upon hearing the father's scolding and profanity, Christy got really angry, intending to confront him. Sharon came upstairs with a bruised face, which only fueled Christy's anger further. Despite Sharon's attempts to comfort him, his rage remained unabated, but all he could do was stomp his foot. While Sharon comforted Christy, she entrusted him to take care of their mother. The mother went to the hospital, finally having saved enough money to buy a wheelchair for Christy. Dr. Eileen Cole, a specialist in cerebral palsy, visited Christy's home, hoping to provide systematic treatment for him. Learning that this service was free, Christy agreed. However, the reality was not as pleasant as he had imagined. The majority of patients were children, and he found himself undergoing similar treatments as them, which Christy couldn't accept. Eventually, he returned home, but Eileen didn't give up on him. She gifted him a copy of Shakespeare's Hamlet, hoping he would find redemption and strength in it. Through Eileen's efforts, Christy finally agreed to resume treatment. During the treatment process, after observing Christy, his mother realized he had developed feelings for Eileen. She couldn't help but worry for Christy, knowing that the pain of unrequited love could be more hurtful than physical suffering. In addition to helping Christy with his treatment, Eileen also noticed his talent for painting. Leveraging her connections, she helped Christy organize an art exhibition at a gallery. Facing the woman who had helped him countless times, Christy confessed his feelings to her. He told Eileen, "I like you very much," to which Eileen responded, "I like you too." However, it was clear that Eileen's affection was only that of a friend. But Christy failed to realize this. Despite being disabled, his exhibition was a great success. But Christy's mother was not happy at all. She knew that the more Christy loved Eileen, the more pain he would endure in the future. Moreover, Christy drank quite a bit at the exhibition, causing his mother great concern. However, she couldn't stop him. At Christy's request, his mother left early. At the bar, fueled by alcohol, Christy once again confessed his feelings to Eileen. However, Eileen informed Christy that the gallery where he held the exhibition was that of her fiancé. Christy found this hard to accept. To mask his disappointment, he loudly congratulated Eileen, making the situation even more awkward. In his heartbreak, Christy drank more and more, causing a scene and making the atmosphere increasingly uncomfortable. Eileen's fiancé couldn't tolerate it anymore and prepared to push him out. However, Christy clung tightly to the tablecloth, unknowingly hurting Eileen. Back at home, Christy contemplated leaving a note to end his miserable life, but he couldn't even do that. Christy was devastated, but his mother told him that even if he gave up, she hadn't. She picked up some tools, and Christy followed her downstairs, puzzled about what she was doing. She was building a separate room for Christy, believing that if he had his own space, he would start painting again. She knew Christy was heartbroken now, but her heart was breaking too. She was willing to give everything, even her healthy legs, in exchange for Christy's. Watching his mother, Christy felt her deep love for him. He apologized to her and helped her mix cement. At that moment, the father returned home and seeing these two mismatched construction workers, called their other sons to help. Christy's brothers jokingly said that Christy might be a good painter, but he wasn't a good builder. With that, the whole family joined in to help build the room. Days later, the mother and son returned home happily, only to find the father lying on the ground. Christy used all his strength to push the door open, but the father left without warning. The family went to the father's favorite bar to repay his debts from before. Christy sang his father's favorite song, which drew the disapproval of a few drunkards. The father's old friends informed them that he was singing that for his father, but the drunkards didn't care and instead mocked Christy's father as a loser. Upon hearing this, Christy's brothers stood up, and just as it seemed like a fight was about to break out, Christy intervened and stopped them. The drunkards, seeing this, claimed they wouldn't fight a cripple. The Brown family had a showdown at the bar for their father, and Christy found a new direction in life. With the help of his brothers, he turned his story into a book and received a substantial advance. He placed the significant sum into his mother's secret savings box, planning to surprise her. At the dinner table, he whimsically asked his mother to buy ice cream, and despite their tight finances, she decided to indulge her son. From then on, the family lived a prosperous life. Many years later, Eileen invited him to participate in a charity event. Despite their past, Christy had since come to terms with everything, so he readily agreed. At the event, he met a woman named Mary. After reading Christy's story, she became interested in him. Christy showcased his humor and wit to her, and eventually, Mary fell for him, and they became husband and wife. My Left Foot is not just a movie. It's more like a documentary of Christy's life. This is because the film is actually based on the true events of Christy Brown, beautifully capturing his triumph over adversity, demonstrating the power of determination and the limitless potential of the human spirit. Daniel Day-Lewis's performance in the film is outstanding too, so I highly recommend watching the original movie.